All right, welcome 8th graders. It is so great to see all of you today. Let's just dive right into today's lesson because we are talking about something that is going to completely change the way you present your research projects from here on out. We are tackling the art of creating powerful visual aids. You know, we spend so much time researching, gathering facts, compiling data, writing down all our findings. But if we can't share that information in a way that's clear, interesting, and memorable, well, our hard work kind of just gets lost. Have you ever sat through a presentation where the speaker just literally read from a piece of paper and you just couldn't figure out what they were actually trying to say? We've all been there, and it is incredibly frustrating. So today, we're going to learn how to avoid that exact scenario. We are going to master how to make your message plain, powerful, and visually captivating for absolutely anyone who listens to you. Now, what's really fascinating is that the concept of clear visual communication isn't just some modern school requirement invented for your science fair. It's actually a profound ancient biblical principle. Habakkuk 2:2 tells us, "Write down the revelation and make it plain on tablets so that a herald may run with it." God is telling the prophet that truth needs to be accessible, it needs to be written down so clearly and made so plain that whoever sees it can immediately understand it and literally run with the message to share it with others. And honestly, that is exactly our goal today. Making your research so plain and clear that your audience instantly grasps the truth you're sharing and can take that knowledge with them into the world.
So here is our roadmap for mastering this art today. Number 1, why visuals matter. Number 2, rules of slide design. Number 3, choosing the right visuals. And number 4, wisdom, truth, and purpose.
Section 1. Why visuals matter.
Think about it for a second. How much of a long 50-minute lecture do you actually remember a week later? Usually, it's just a tangled mess of information in your head, right? You might remember a joke, maybe a quick story, but the core facts fade pretty fast. That's because humans process visual information way faster than auditory information. What you hear is easily forgotten, but what you see is remembered much longer and processed far more efficiently by the brain. A strong visual aid, whether that's a beautifully designed slide deck, a well-organized poster, or a really clear chart, it helps explain incredibly complex ideas fast. Your audience should be able to understand your main points just by glancing at your visuals while you speak. If they have to strain, squint, or try to solve a riddle just to figure out what you're talking about, you're losing them entirely.
Moving on to Section 2, Rules of Slide Design.
Okay, there are a few golden rules you absolutely have to keep in mind to make sure your message remains the star of the show. First up, keep text short. Use bullet points, not full paragraphs. If your audience is reading a novel while you're speaking, they aren't listening to a word you say. They're just reading ahead. Second, stick to one main idea per slide. Please don't cram 3 different historical events or 5 different scientific formulas onto one page. Give your ideas some room to breathe. Third, use clear, readable fonts from a distance. If the kids sitting in the back row are squinting, your font is either too small or way too fancy. Just keep it simple and bold. Fourth, ensure high color contrast. Dark text on a light background or light text on a dark background. That's always your safest bet. Neon yellow on a white background is practically invisible, so just don't do it. And finally, avoid distracting animations. We don't need letters bouncing, spinning, or exploding onto the screen. It wildly distracts from the actual truth of your content.
Section 3. Choosing the right visuals.
Let's define our terms really clearly here. A visual aid is a tool used to simplify complex concepts and support your main message. It is not mere decoration. Every single graphic, picture, or chart you decide to use in your presentation has a specific, measurable job to do. And that job is to help people process ideas efficiently. If you just throw in a random clip art image of a smiley face because you think the slide looks a little empty, you are actually doing your audience a disservice. If a picture doesn't actively help explain your research, it's a distraction. Cut it out. Your visuals should be doing heavy lifting, not just sitting there trying to look pretty. Let's look at a practical example. Say you're doing a science project on neighborhood water conservation. You could stand up there and read a huge paragraph listing out exactly how many gallons of water were consumed in 2021, 2022, and 2023, but by the time you get to that third year, your audience has completely forgotten the first year. The numbers just become noise. But a bar graph? That is the perfect tool here. It clearly compares the numbers side by side. Your audience can instantly grasp the trend. They literally see the bars showing the water usage going up or down in a split second. You've taken complex, dry data and made it instantly digestible.
But what if you aren't sharing numbers or statistics? What if you're explaining a historical event?
Well, in that case, historical image support is your absolute best friend. A photograph or a painting from a specific time period places the audience directly in that era, far better than a block of text ever could. When you show a real photo of the Wright brothers' first flight at Kitty Hawk or a famous painting of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, you are helping your audience instantly visualize the time, the style of clothing, the technology, the gritty reality of that specific moment. You're transporting them. You're making history feel alive and real, rather than just reciting names and dates from a textbook.
And here's another amazing tool for your toolkit, the flow diagram. Sometimes you have to explain a multi-step process, like how citywide recycling works. It's a complicated system, right? Lots of moving parts. A flow diagram takes that overwhelming complexity and breaks it down into an easy-to-follow sequence. Step 1, collection. Arrows point to Step 2, processing. Arrows point to Step 3, manufacturing new products. A simple glance at a flow diagram helps your audience understand the entire journey, from the recycling bins sitting out on the curb, all the way to a brand new product on the store shelf. You are making it plain, step by step.
Section 4. Wisdom, Truth, and Purpose.
Let's just take a collective breath and slow down our pacing for a second. We've talked a lot about the academic side of things, but we need to look at the deeper spiritual purpose behind gaining these effective communication skills. Romans 8:6-7 teaches us, "The mind governed by the flesh is death, but the mind governed by the Spirit is life and peace." 8th grade, what you choose to fill your mind with and how you govern your thoughts dictates the very direction of your life. Keeping our minds spiritually centered on God and His truth is what actually leads to true life and peace. When we learn how to research deeply, organize facts, and communicate effectively, we are actively training our minds. But we have to make sure our minds are governed by the Spirit, seeking to honor God, rather than just being driven by earthly ambition or just trying to show off how smart we are.
And this brings us right to the absolute heart of our philosophy here. HeroesMart Academy intertwines biblical morality with education because, frankly, education without morality can hurt. Why do we push you to excel in your academics and build these incredible slide decks? Because knowledge and intelligence should help you make wise, God-honoring choices rather than simply making you more capable. If you become a brilliant, highly effective communicator, but you use the skills to deceive people or to tear others down, that knowledge is actually harmful. We want you to pursue immense academic excellence. We want you to be the absolute best communicators in the room, but you have to do it while keeping your mind entirely centered on God, truth, wisdom, and righteous choices. You're learning to make the message plain so that you can share the truth of God's world effectively.
So, I'm going to leave you with a two-part question today. And yes, this ties directly into your homework assignment. First, academically. What is one huge mistake people make with visual aids? Think back on our rules, the clutter, the unreadable fonts, the useless pictures. But secondly, and honestly much more importantly, how will you use clear design to share truth in the world? As you go out and create your presentations this week, remember that you aren't just completing a school assignment to get a grade. You are practicing the vital art of taking truth, making it plain, and sharing it so others can understand it and experience life and peace. Go tackle those slide decks, 8th grade, and use your amazing new skills for a righteous purpose.